Enlightenment science redefined nature as a clockwork mechanism where every physical event, including human action, was dictated by prior causes. This created a crisis. Philosophers were split between empiricists, who tied all knowledge to sensory data, and rationalists, who sought truth through pure mathematical reasoning. On one side, René Descartes argued that the human intellect could directly grasp a mind-independent reality. On the other, Isaac Newton's mechanical laws were proving that the physical world followed rigid, observable patterns of cause and effect. These two systems were in direct conflict. If Newton's mechanics applied to everything, then the autonomous, free-thinking soul described by Descartes had nowhere left to exist. Immanuel Kant entered this deadlock with a specific mission: to provide a firm grounding for scientific law without sacrificing the possibility of human choice. Without a way to bridge these worlds, thinkers were forced to choose between a scientifically certain universe without freedom or a moral life without the certainty of science. Kant's solution was to reframe human cognition. He argued that the mind acts as a processing filter rather than a simple recording device. He called the raw white light entering the prism the Ding an sich, the thing in itself, or the noumenal world. This is reality as it exists in total independence, completely separated from our senses or our observations. The fractured rainbow exiting the glass represents the phenomenal world, the version of reality that we actually experience and study. Crucially, human beings can never perceive the original white light. We are biologically and cognitively restricted to the rainbow. This shift in perspective is known as the Copernican revolution in philosophy. Just as Copernicus realized the observer was moving around the sun, Kant realized that objects must conform to the structure of the human mind, rather than the mind conforming to the objects. This means experience is not something we merely receive. It is a structured world that the human mind actively builds from raw data. Having redefined how we see, Kant needed to draw a clear map of what we can actually know, setting strict limits on where reason can and cannot go. This 1799 map shows the defined borders of the Kingdom of Prussia. Similarly, Kant's critique of pure reason functioned as a map of human thought. Beyond these borders, reason loses its footing, unable to make claims backed by evidence. We can represent this divide as a mind split between two radically different domains. The white marble half is eminent metaphysics, the world of everything we can experience through our senses. Within this domain, science is absolute. The laws of physics work perfectly here, because our own minds use those laws to organize our experiences. The Vanta black half is the noumenal realm, the domain of things in themselves. This realm is a structural void. It is entirely closed off to human investigation or logical proof. Kant dismissed the claims of earlier rationalists who believed they could use logic alone to step inside this void. No amount of pure thinking can grant us an objective view of a world that exists independently of our minds. To claim we know the contents of this void is to ignore the limits of our own biology, leading to contradictions that undermine both philosophy and science. The construction of the phenomenal world, the white marble half, relies on a specific set of cognitive lenses. Kant calls the study of these lenses the transcendental aesthetic. He argued that our minds are not blank slates. Instead, we possess a rigid internal architecture that formats everything we perceive. Space and time are not things we find out there in the universe. They are the a priori formatting software of human sensibility. Imagine raw, chaotic sensory data hitting this rigid spatiotemporal grid. The mind forces it to snap into a unified order, arranging it in 3 dimensions and placing it on a linear timeline. This forced combination allows us to perceive a coherent world of distinct objects. This led to Kant's central insight. We can cognize of things a priori only what we ourselves have put into them. Therefore, asking what a thing is really like without space or time is an impossible question. Because the very act of being aware requires these filters, we can never take them off to see the world as it truly is. Our knowledge is locked behind these spatiotemporal filters, leaving the mind-independent reality permanently out of our reach. This brings us to the ultimate boundary of human thought. Kant treated the noumenon as a limitative concept, a marker for where our understanding ends. We must assume this vault exists. If there is an appearance, logic dictates there must be something behind it that is appearing, but we are structurally incapable of ever seeing inside. While this limit bars human intellect from ultimate truth, it serves a specific strategic function in the defense of moral agency. The deterministic laws discovered by Newton, where every action has a prior cause, exist only in the phenomenal world outside the vault. Because physical determinism cannot penetrate the noumenal realm, Kant is able to locate human freedom and the soul safely inside the vault. Science has no tools to look inside. Therefore, science can never prove that human freedom is an illusion. Kant described this compromise by saying, "I had to deny knowledge in order to make room for faith." By segregating the universe, Kant grounds science in the observable world, while anchoring morality in a domain beyond the reach of physical proof. The pure white beam slowly dims, the rainbow collapses, and we are left once again in the unobservable dark. This system works, but at the cost of a unified reality. We are left with a world forever split in two. We have built a home for both science and morality, but we are forever blind to the foundation they rest upon.